Someone said, anyone can love the mountains. It takes a soul to love the prairie. I think the same thing with the sharp-tailed grouse. He makes a living in a place where a lot of other creatures couldn't make a living. He gains all of his respect from me, not necessarily because he's a hard bird to hunt. He's not a hard bird to hunt. He holds great for dogs. He popcorn flushes. He gets up slow. He's easy to knock down with a shotgun. But when the winter gets so hard that the ringneck pheasants and the Hungarian partridge can't hold on, he's out there making a living. He's built for winters and blizzards, that extreme cold. His diet is made up of native grasses, native berries, native insects. Now, he'll eat grain just like any other bird, but he can make a living without grain. It's okay sometimes if the bird gets away. It's okay if he makes a living. I love sharp-tailed grouse and I love Hungarian partridge. And like I said, sharp-tailed can be kind of easy, but sometimes they beat you. Sometimes they're in a spot where you didn't expect them to be. Sometimes they're looking, they see you coming. Sometimes the dog screws up. Sometimes you shoot and miss. And that's okay. Because it's okay if the bird wins. We should maybe go left right here, actually, boys, and touch that grass first out there.
There's a point. This guy's on point. 160.
One guy left, one guy middle, one guy right, so the dogs aren't all working together. I'll go up the hill to the left. My name is Michael Mortara. I'm from Oakland, California originally. I now live here in the great state of Montana. The first time I came to Montana was when I was 5 years old. My father's a minister. And he drove me, my 2-year-old brother, and my mother out here in a red Astro minivan so he could go mule deer hunting. And the memories from that trip stuck in my mind. And that started a lifelong love affair with this state. And I've kind of always been drawn to it, and I eventually ended up here. So my grandfather, he was born in 1908, so he lived through the Great Depression, and he fed himself by hunting. And so fast forward to my father's life, him and my uncle had started a small waterfowl guiding business. And so as I was born and going through my toddler years, I was born and kind of raised in a duck line. My early life is full of memories in a sanctuary and in a duck line. 2 sanctuaries, really. And so that kind of started a love affair with me and hunting and just introducing people to hunting. Kind of the life of a guide. I guided for a lot of years, working at Orvis ranches and lodges and plantations and making my living that way. Now I've kind of gone a different route where the things that I enjoy about guiding I've kept in my life, and the things I didn't enjoy I've kind of gotten rid of, which is I really enjoy people and showing them new things, and I enjoy working my dogs and being in the out of doors. I don't take a dime here in this state to guide. I don't think I ever would. As time goes on, people have always come to this state to hunt. They always have. And so, I don't know if I would ever want to put the pressure on the resource like that, but, I think it's important that we share it and that we continue to grow this way of life. But that also comes with a set of responsibilities. We always say that if everyone in this country hunted, there wouldn't be enough for everyone, and that's true. And so over the last 10 years, over the last decade, I've watched as upland hunting went from something that people kind of did, maybe Thanksgiving, maybe after they were done duck hunting, it's become mainstream now. But we also have to keep in mind that the pressure on the resource is something that we have to really be mindful of. Habitat, not just throwing pen-raised birds on the landscape, not just leasing up good land, but how are we going to preserve habitat far into the future? The reason Hungarian partridge do so well in that part of this state is because of big ag. But big ag isn't necessarily good for sharp-tailed grouse. We know it's not good for sage grouse. So where do we find that balance in there? How do we preserve prairie, short grass prairie, tall grass prairie, whatever it may be? But it is something that I think as hunters, everything starts on a micro level. Everything with hunters is grassroots. And so if we, can start spreading the word and keeping that in mind in our small friend group, and pass it to the next friend group, to the next friend group, to the next friend group. That's how it grows. And you think about at the time of European contact, what this landscape looked like. It was just nothing but short grass prairie. There were sharp-tails for as far as the eye could see. And to now, we think of what are good numbers are really only a microcosm of what was here to begin with. The previous season was a banner season for sharp-tailed grouse. Everybody came out here and got limits, tailgate pictures and all that. And this season, there was something different. It was kind of regular year numbers. And people are, it's so much harder. And no, it's just regular. And I hear so many people now who, I love to go out there and shoot sharp-tailed grouse. And you ask them why. And, oh man, they hold great for a dog. Oh man, they're fun to knock out of the sky with the shotgun. What about the country they live in? And so, it makes me go back to, the respect for the game, the respect for the bird. Yeah, I like knocking them down, but at some point it gets a little bit like, okay, I've had enough. I'll only shoot at them a lot of times when I'm by myself over a good solid point, because it makes my hunt last longer. And it makes me get more dog work, and it lets them young dogs make mistakes and not be rewarded for them. It's building a bird dog, and it's having respect for the animal, which is just because you can ground swat them off the ground, off the road, or you can shoot them off a fence wire, or you can go walk in amongst them when they're young and dumb and just keep pounding them and pounding them and pounding them. Does it really mean you should? Does it really mean that's what's best for you, your dog, and the bird? Sometimes it's hard to make those judgments on people, because you feel like you're judging them. But I think what we got to do what's best for the way of life. To go back to the sharp-tailed grouse, there's a certain beauty about them. There's a simplistic beauty, and I think it parallels the beauty of the prairie, because he makes a living in a place where human beings for a long time had a tough time making a living. Everyone thinks of this state, they think of the big, huge mountain ranges and the fancy TV shows and the big Gallatin Valley, but you go out into the prairie and it's a little bit lonely. It's a little bit empty, and so you got to look for the beauty. You got to really pick it out. I think the same thing with the sharp-tailed grouse. Everybody can love them because they're easy, but do you love them for the right reasons? Do you love them for what I love them for, and the guys that I respect doing it love them for? That's up for you to decide.